Park in downtown Houston, Texas on My 20 and the Astros television network. It's the rubber game of this three-game series. It's the Houston Astros versus the St. Louis Cardinals. Good afternoon, everybody. Bill Brown and Jim DeShays. The Astros trying to win a series for the first time all season from the Redbirds.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? And they turn the ball over to Wandy Rodriguez. He'll be making his third start since coming off the disable. His first time out in St. Louis was a little bit rusty. Didn't have command of his pitches. Last time out, a different story in Pittsburgh. Back on the beam, pitched very well. 6 shutout innings against the Buccos last time out. Astros looking for more of the same here this afternoon.
Cardinals exploded for 7 runs in the second inning last night. We'll have the home run challenge coming up today. And coming up in this ball game, the Astros would like to get the upper hand early on the offense against the Redbirds. And Miguel Tejada would like to chime in that effort. We'll have game 3 of this series in just a moment. Houston Astros baseball on My 20 is brought to you by Budweiser, by your Texas Ford dealers, by Jack in the Box, by your Houston area Lexus dealers, by Subway, and by Southwest Airlines. In air-conditioned comfort, it's the Astros and the Cardinals, the finale of this 3-game weekend series. Wandy Rodriguez warming up to face the St. Louis Cardinals today. The Cardinals are 10 games over 500. Here's their starting lineup brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Brendan Ryan is the shortstop and the leadoff man for this game. It's Joe Mather batting second. He's in center field. Albert Pujols hits third. He's the first baseman for the Redbirds with the cleanup man Ryan Ludwig in right field. Troy Gloss bats fifth playing third base. Yadier Molina the catcher's in the sixth spot. Then it's Brian Barton in left field. Kyle Loesch the pitcher batting eighth. Aaron Miles batting ninth at second base. And now Wandy Rodriguez with a record of 2-1 goes to work.
And a scouting report on Wandy. Back on the beam, back on track. Last time out, very good against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Albert Pujols just 1 out of 13 against Wandy.
He throws strike one to Brendan Ryan. Ryan at 286 has no homers, 2 runs batted in. 26 years old. Breaking pitch is high to him, and it's 1-1 with Ryan getting his first start of this series. Cesar Izturis has been the shortstop for the first 2 games. Ryan chops one on one bounce. It goes to third base. Yeah, finally they call it foul. Wigginton fielded that ball in foul territory and does come back. They didn't call it foul for a while. In today's game, we are participating in the home run challenge. Today, every home run in this game raises $14,000 for prostate cancer research. You can make a pledge by calling 800-798-CURE 2873. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Ryan. The Redbirds won last night 8-4 after getting 7 in the second inning. The Astros won the opener Friday night 6-1 behind Brian Moeller's excellent work on the mound. Strike 3 call. Ryan caught looking to open this one. Tim Wilkie's the home plate umpire.
Wandy shooting for that inside corner. A little cut fastball. Pitch tracker thought it was off the plate. Good enough for Tim Welke. It's a good sign for Wandy. He can be effective in there.
Now he works to Joe Mather. Broken bat looper caught by Matsui at second. 2 outs. Wandy got in on Mather. Shattered the bat. Now it's Albert Pujols with 2 outs and nobody on. And Pujols getting that show of respect from the Houston crowd. Hitless in this series. .352 for the season, 15 homers, 40 runs batted in. There's strike one to Albert. He did not start either game of their doubleheader in Washington on Thursday, but hit a pinch homer in one of those games. Playing with a left calf injury. 1 ball, 1 strike. That was the first pinch homer of Albert's career in the doubleheader. 2-1. Despite the fact that he has not had a hit in this series, he is hitting .378 against the Astros this season with 5 homers, 8 runs batted in. 3-1 now. Pujols, a lifetime .316 hitter against Houston, has wrecked many a Astros fan's day at Minute Maid Park. There's a 2-out walk, and it's Ryan Ludwig following. That's the 50th walk Pujols has received. He's 3rd in the league in drawing walks.
And he's such a dangerous hitter. Obviously, you want to pitch him carefully, but that was a situation here, 2 outs, nobody on, top of the first inning, where I think you need to be a little bit more aggressive with Pujols.
Ryan Ludwig actually leads the Cardinals in runs batted in with 46, 6 more than Albert. He has 14 homers and a .310 batting average. Putting a home run in this series. He looks at ball 1. Ludwig connected last night with a 3-run shot in that 7-run Cardinals second inning off Sean Chacon. It's 2 balls and no strikes for Wandy Rodriguez, who in his career against St. Louis has won 1 and lost 5 with a 5.31 ERA. But he's made 2 good starts against the Cardinals this year so far, with a no decision and a loss in those games. 2-1 now to Ludwig. Redbirds are 3-1 on this road trip. They took 2 of 3 in Washington. They go on to Cincinnati next. Off day for them tomorrow. And Pujols is driven back. Cardinals lead the season series 7-4 from the Astros. Cardinals have won 3 of 5 in this ballpark. 2 balls and 2 strikes, and as the Redbirds begin play today, they're 2.5 behind the front-running Chicago Cubs. Astros trailing by 7 games.
Cubs have dropped 2 in a row. That's a headline.
It is a headline. Astros also have a day off tomorrow. Then Milwaukee comes in for 3 Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday afternoon. Finale there. Chop slowly. Wandy over to play it. Throws out Ludwig. No runs, no hits, and a man left for the Redbirds. The Astros come up against Kyle Loesch in a moment. St. Louis failed to score in the top of the first. Now Southwest Airlines brings you the Astros starting lineup. Hunter Pence on a 5-game hitting streak leads off. He's in right field. Kazuo Matsui bats second and plays second base. Miguel Tejada's in the 3 spot at shortstop with Lance Berkman the cleanup man at first base. It's Carlos Lee in left field. Ty Wigginton at third base. Michael Bourne in center field batting 7th. Brad Ausmus the catcher and Wandy Rodriguez the Houston pitcher. And veteran right-hander Kyle Loesch opens with a slider. Hunter Pence taking strike 1. Hunter with a .300 batting average has 8 homers, 35 runs batted in. He had a big night last night with 3 hits including a homer, and he drove in 2. Loesch pushes him back, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike.
Scouting report on Kyle Loesch. He is red hot, rolling along. 3 consecutive wins. He'll throw any pitch on any count.
Fly ball right field toward the corner. Ludwig backing deep into the corner. Hunter Pence has hit it foul. Whoa. Fans got excited down in that right field corner.
Well, that's a fairly common theme lately. Hunter Pence hitting the ball hard the other way. You can see what Loesch was trying to do with him. He threw him a slider away to start, and then a hard fastball in off the plate. So a lot of the fastballs are designed to push him off the plate to open up the outside corner. The right-handed pitchers, for the most part, are going to try to get him out away, and a lot of times with the breaking ball. He's done a real nice job adjusting and starting to hit that ball hard to right field.
This chopper goes fair behind third base. Troy Gloss with the play. 1 out for Kyle Loesch. One high bounce that went to Gloss's right.
And Loesch in his last 4 starts has thrown 23 innings and allowed just 4 earned runs. Cardinals have won all 4 of his last 4 starts. He personally 3-0 in that stretch.
Matsui, 279, 1 homer, 13 runs batted in. Has had a nice series, going 4 for 9. He had a pair of hits last night. Shoots that one foul, and it's strike 1 to Caswell with Miguel Tejada on deck. Now Loesch has been very effective, especially recently, but also in April. He had a 2.36 ERA in April. 1 ball, 1 strike. That was the lowest April ERA for a Cardinal starter since Woody Williams had a 1.09 ERA in April of 2003. 1-2. The Astros have won 13 of their last 18 home games. They're 16-10 at Minute Maid Park. They really would love to get this one today to capture a series from the Redbirds for the first time all season. 2 balls and 2 strikes. The pattern has been one the Astros do not want to see repeated. Astros win the first game of the series. Cardinals win the next 2. Loesch shaking off. And it's upstairs. It's 3 balls, 2 strikes.
I think it's important just to get, a good feeling going on this homestand after a 2-7 road trip. You got an off day tomorrow, so W today, going into that off day would feel awfully good.
Shot into left field. Matsui stayed back, just went with a pitch and delivers a 1-out single. Today's broadcast is on AFN, the American Forces Network, broadcasting to the U.S. Armed Forces, serving in 177 countries and aboard ships at sea. They're watching around the world in Iraq, Germany, Italy, Southwest Asia, South Korea, and Japan. Welcome from Houston, Texas.
Welcome and thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Miguel Tejada, 304 for Miggy, 7 homers, 39 runs batted in. Runner going. Here's a throw from Molina. It is high, safe at second base. Caswell Matsui has his 13th steal. Molina, one of the best throwing catchers around, threw a little bit high.
Yeah, strong throw, and if it's down, they've got him. And throw up. Miles having to extend for him. By the time he got the tag down, Matsui was in.
And the pitch, strike 1 to Tejada. He goes for that one and really did not have a good swing at that pitch. No balls, 2 strikes. Looked like he didn't pick up the rotation on the breaking pitch very well.
He was sitting on a heater.
Tejada leads all major league shortstops and runs batted in with 39. He'd love to pick up number 40, but he's behind 0-2. And a strikeout for Loesch. Takes care of out number 2. Now Lance Berkman.
After a couple of real bad balls, and that bat the slider away, and then that fastball, but good movement, great darting action on that 2-seamer.
374 for Berkman, 17 homers, 48 runs batted in a sizzling campaign. He's 1 for 7 in this series. Leads the majors in runs scored, slugging percentage, extra base hits, doubles, and total bases. Strike 1 from Loesch. Berkman has hit .308 against the Redbirds this season with 4 long balls. The Astros have hit much better at home than on the road. .289 team batting average at home, averaging better than 5 runs per game. Berkman lines one and foul. No balls, 2 strikes.
Astros came up short yesterday. The Cardinals with that early 7-0 lead, but I thought the hitters had a pretty good night. They did a nice job getting back into that game. A lot of good at-bats.
Well, they wound up with 15 hits. That ties their single game high for the 08 season. Berkman had one of those last night, a double. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Lance is second in the league in hits with 85. Chipper Jones the leader. Carlos Lee's on deck as Kyle Loesch works. Loesch 3-4 lifetime against Houston with a 3.20 ERA. This season he's won both of his starts against the Astros. Both of those coming in St. Louis, and in both he went 6 innings and allowed 1 run. Berkman to left field. Brian Barton back up with the catch to end the first with no runs, a hit and a man stranded, and it's scoreless after 1. Nothing after 1. Coming up later on the Dodge Texas Truck Stop, you'll hear what people don't know about Hunter Pence, Astros right fielder. Troy Gloss leads it off in the Cardinals' second inning. Wandy Rodriguez, shooting for win number 3 of the season, has missed 5 weeks with a groin injury. Facing Gloss, .265, 7 homers, 38 runs batted in. Wandy's made 2 starts since returning from that injury. He lost in St. Louis and he won at Pittsburgh last time out 2-0 with 6 brilliant innings of shutout ball. This is his first start at home since April 19th against Colorado. Strike to Troy Gloss.
And Wandy in this ballpark picking up right where he was last year. So good. 1-0, 0.98 ERA for 3 starts at Minute Maid Park this season. Must be something Buck Kincaid is serving down there in the clubhouse.
Well, we need to try to nail that down because the difference between home and road has been big for Wandy. Hammered off the glove of Wigginton into foul territory. Gloss comes around first and he will stop with a single. He hit it hard. Wigginton slowed it down. Gloss does not run very well. He gets only a single, but he drilled it.
Into the category of too hot to handle. Good low ball hitter, and you can tell why with that swing there. He's got that little uppercut swing.
Gloss aboard. Yadier Molina the batter. Rodriguez threw 15 pitches in the first inning. Molina has put together a .296 season so far with 3 homers, 24 runs batted in, 1 hit, 1 RBI in this series. Up the middle toward center field. Matsui spears it. He got a nice jump and turned it into out number 1.
Now you're going to get a look at that jump right here. He's quick.
Molina's retired thanks to Matsui's good range. Now Brian Barton's the batter. Barton looks at ball 1. The left fielder at .245 with 1 homer has driven in 7.
So Matsui would be a good soccer goalie.
Yeah.
He's got those quick feet.
He really does. Barton 1 for 4 in this series. He has a lot of range at second. Barton fooled on that swing, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike. In Wandy's career at home, he's 18-13 with a 4.25 ERA. On the road, 12-21 with a 5.82. Pretty big difference, home versus road. Two balls, 1 strike. The Astros are 13-15 against their Central Division foes, while the Cardinals are 19-16 in the NL Central. Cardinals will make another trip here to Houston. Foul back. It's 2-2. And this is game number 12, though, of the season series between these two. So they don't have that many games remaining with each other after today.
Well, we're done in St. Louis, right?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Only 3 games left here at the end of August, and the season series is over. In tight, and it's 3-2. Sean Chacon, even though he gave up 7 in the second inning last night, managed to stay in and pitch scoreless ball in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. The Astros used 4 relievers in the game. And the throw goes to first on Gloss.
Gloss, not a base stealer, but they may be thinking starting the base runner here, 3-2 count and 1 out to stay out of a double play. I think you're more likely to get a strikeout double play, though, than a ground ball double play with this combination.
Into left field. A hit for Barton. Gloss to second base, and the Cardinals have something working with a pitcher coming up, Kyle Loesch. 2 men on with 1 out. Loesch doesn't hit as well as some of his teammates on the Cardinal pitching staff, but he comes up in a situation to help himself now with a 120 batting average, 4 runs batted in, 3 hits and 25 at bats.
Well, we've had this situation a number of times recently with nobody out. It's absolutely a slam dunk bunt situation with 1 out. Sometimes you'll roll the dice, and the Cardinals with some of the good hitting pitchers have done that. But Loesch is not the hitter that Wainwright is, or Braden Looper, who worked the first game of this series, is hitting better than 400.
Yeah, Wainwright had 2 hits last night. He had to leave with an injury after 5 innings, but he was 2 for 3 at the plate. And Looper has hit extremely well. A strike call makes it 0-2. Loesch was playing cat and mouse with Lance Berkman on that first pitch, showing bunt, then pulling the bat back and fouled it off. Now he's in a hole. No balls, 2 strikes. Jose Oquendo, the third base coach, comes down with instructions.
And you see that a lot when a hitter's caught in between. If he's got the bunt signed, but he has the freedom to take the bat back and swing away, sometimes the hitter will just kind of get caught in between and not really commit to doing either.
Strike 3. Loesch looking back disgustedly at Tim Welke, who just called him out, and that's out number 2. Second strikeout for Wandy. That looked like a guy who's caught in between.
Yeah, he saw it out of his hand. He said, "That's high." And then as the curveball started to break, he said, "Well, wait a minute, I might bunt at it." And then he tried to pull it back.
Aaron Miles, 315, 10 runs batted in, with very good numbers for the season for this switch hitting middle infielder. He looks at strike 1. Miles, a former Astros farmhand, can play second or short. And he's at second base today with left-handed hitting Adam Kennedy on the bench.
It's an all right-handed lineup for Tony La Russa today against Wandy Rodriguez, and it really doesn't hurt Wandy. He's actually, in terms of batting average, a little better against righties this year than lefties, and he has that kind of game, the ability to run that little cut fastball in on their hands and then throw the changeup or the backdoor curveball away. He really competes well against right-handed hitters. There's some lefties, that they chew up left-handed hitters, but not so good against righties. But that's not an issue with Wandy.
Tap to third, but foul. Miles is hitting .273 as a right-handed batter. .292 make it as a right-handed batter.
Those left-handed pitchers that dominate left-handed hitters but not righties, they become bullpen guys. Those are your lefty specialists.
Good crowd here today watching the 0-2 pitch. Punch foul. And that includes a man celebrating his 90th birthday here today, Andrew Jacobs Sr. His grandson Joey Jacobs passed us an email. Thanks to Joey and congratulations to Andrew on birthday number 90. Miles strikes out on a foul tip to end the top of the second inning. No runs, a couple of hits, 2 men left, no score. It's 0-0 here after 1.5. Coming up later on the Toyota Truck Game Break, John Radigan will have all the latest on your Houston Astros in the middle of the 7th here on FSN Houston. Carlos Lee leads it off in the home second inning. Loesch delivers, and it's strike one to El Caballo, 254. Carlos has 12 homers, 47 runs batted in. Hitless in this series. He was a pinch hitter last night. But the rare opportunity to take a night off for the most part, except for that pinch hit appearance. Could serve Carlos well. It did with Miguel Tejada the night before. 2 balls and a strike. There's the cap that's being given away to fans today, the El Caballo cap.
Bringing some good karma.
Yeah. But that slider might negate that karma.
That is a karma negating slider for sure.
2 balls and 2 strikes. But Lee is at 367 off Loesch with 4 homers. And it's 3-2. Up the middle and into center field. El Caballo comes through with hit number 2 for the Astros and brings up Ty Wigginton. Shortstop Ryan was pulled around, playing him to pull. He hit it in a good spot. Albert Pujols with a smile. Wigginton the batter. Ty at 283 has 3 homers, 9 runs batted in. He was 1 for 4 in last night's game. Jeff Blum played third the night before and had a nice ball game with 2 hits and a homer. Cecil Cooper has rested some of his mainstays in this series. El Caballo started to take off, then he stopped. Liner into center field. That ball really nailed by Wigginton. Back-to-back singles have the Astros thinking Michael Bourne could continue this rally.
Now the second inning was the magic inning for the Redbirds last night. Maybe the Astros can put a crooked number up there. Michael Bourne, a good night last night, 3 hits. One of them should have been a home run. It was ruled a double right off the top of the wall in right field.
Now a fan attempted to catch that home run ball. 224 for Bourne, 3 homers, 11 runs batted in, 7 hits in his last 17 at bats, and he had to settle for a double when the umpires ruled fan interference, even though the fan did not touch the ball. Bourne showing bunt, takes ball 1. There was a talk show on the radio after the game, and somebody who was sitting in the second row out in right field said that fan who attempted to catch it admitted he didn't touch it.
Just missed his arm. We looked at the replay a number of times and it looked like he missed it, but it was, even with replay, it was difficult to tell. So it's kind of hard to hold the umpire accountable on that one.
Yeah. Near the left field line, Barton coming over on the run with the catch, and it's out number 1. But if the fan had not reached over, it would have been a very easy call for the umpires, and Michael Bourne would have had a home run. Brad Ausmus as Loesch gets another baseball. Brad comes up with runners at first and second and 1 out, hitting .221, 1 homer, 6 runs batted in, 3 for 4 in this series. Humberto Quintero started the opener. Brad went 3 for 4 in last night's game.
I'm surprised there that Michael didn't commit to a bunt in that at bat. One of those bunt for a base hit, and if you do nothing worse than move the 2 runners along, then you've still had a productive AB.
Strike for Loesch. Pitch like that might be a good double play ball. Wandy Rodriguez is on deck. Ausmus is grounded into 3 double plays and 86 at bats. It's 1-1. Cardinal pitching staff has compiled the 6th best ERA in the National League so far. Starting pitchers have been a pleasant surprise for this Redbird team, going 29-15.
Well, Kyle Loesch has been a huge pickup. They signed him late. Loesch, a holdout for much of the winter, looking for a multi-year deal as a free agent, and was not able to get the deal he was looking for. And Cardinals needed pitching. They signed him late, and he's been a huge pickup for them. Todd Wellemeyer has been really something.
And it's 3-1.
Wainwright's been really good, but you could hardly call that a surprise.
True. In Loesch's career, he's won 69 and lost 76. He's pitching in air-conditioned comfort today. And Molina goes out to visit him. Last year, Loesch was with Cincinnati and Philadelphia with a 9-12 record, but he piled up 192 innings. Loesch, 29 years old, from Chico, California. Came up with the Twins, even though the White Sox had drafted him. They traded him to Minnesota in '99. 3-4 against the Astros with a respectable ERA, 3.20. He's making $4.25 million on a 1-year contract. Liner to right field. Ludwig with the catch. And the runners return to their bases. Ausmus hit it hard. 2 outs. Now Wandy Rodriguez. Wandy is hitless for the season, 0 for 12.
You're better than that, Wandy.
This would be a great time for him to break out that first hit.
A little fashion tip from Tim Welke. Tuck your belt in.
He's a 109 career hitter. It rolls out to shortstop. Brendan Ryan with the toss to Aaron Miles. No runs, 2 hits, 2 left. No score. Our 4 league leaders show you the Major League Baseball all-time leaders in home runs by shortstops. Cal Ripken Jr. #1 at 345. A-Rod is 1 behind at 344. He's now a third baseman, though, and it's Ernie Banks, #3 at 277, and Miguel Tejada, 4th at 262. Ernie Banks played a lot of games at first base in his career, so Tejada has that threshold in front of him to overtake a Hall of Fame shortstop in Ernie Banks later on this year. 0-0. 3 hits for the Astros, 2 for the Redbirds. We go to inning #3, and it's Brendan Ryan leading it off. Ryan struck out looking, leading off the game. Showing bunt that time. Wandy brings it in on him, and it's ball 1 to Ryan. Now 2 balls, no strikes, with Mather and Pujols to follow. Two and 1 to Ryan, who was on the disabled list to open the season with a right oblique strain. He pops it up out into right center field. Michael Bourne calling. 1 out for Wandy. Joe Mather will follow. Day off coming tomorrow for the Astros, and their rotation for the Milwaukee series will find Roy Oswalt, Brandon Backey, and Brian Moeller pitching against the Brewers.
Well, the Brewers featuring
Seth McClung, Manny Parra, and Ben Sheets. Ball 1 to Mather. Mather popped to second. A liner, actually. That was by Molina in the second inning that Matsui caught. That little chop goes foul third base side, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike. Wandy's only win against the Cardinals came in St. Louis September 20th last year. The Astros gave him a lot of run support. He won it 18-1. Strike to Mather makes it 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Well, he's got good command of that fastball today, picking away at both corners. Great tempo.
Mather jumped at that pitch a little bit. Still 1-2 for Wandy. And he got him on strikes. Number 4.
An outstanding 2-strike curveball there. Took something off of it, threw it down below the knees.
Albert Pujols walked first time up. There's ball 1 to Pujols. This is only the 3rd streak of Pujols being hitless for 2 games in a row at Minute Maid Park. Bouncer up the middle. Matsui to his right. It's 1-2-3 in the 3rd. And Pujols now 1 for 14 lifetime against Rodriguez in a scoreless game in the 3rd.
That is one stylish baby. We are scoreless, bottom of the 3rd. Astros Brewers 3-game series starts Tuesday at 7:05. First 10,000 fans will receive an Astros Summer Tour t-shirt courtesy of ImageNet. Look at the concert t-shirt with the dates on the back, cool Astros logo on front. Go to Astros.com and get your tickets.
And you can get a dark colored t-shirt Thursday for that afternoon game at 1 o'clock. So it's t-shirt week here at Minute Maid Park for the Brewers series. And it is Hunter season.
Go Hunter!
Hunter heating it up. He's a .337 lifetime hitter against the Cardinals. Loesch coming inside, and it's 1-1.
Both pitchers in this game doing a good job establishing early inside, making hitters aware of both sides of the plate.
Oh, that one got away up around the head, an off-speed pitch. 2 balls, 1 strike.
Trying to snap off a breaking ball, it just didn't finish it. And have that release point out in front. It's a beauty.
And he smacks one up the right field line into the corner, heads for second base. Ludwig plays the carom. Hunter Pence will stop with a double. 6-game hitting streak now for Hunter. That's his 16th 2-base hit. After that pitch up near his head, he stayed right in and hit it by Pujols.
There's that off-field stroke we were talking about last time up. Staying inside the ball, keeping the hands back. You're seeing it a little bit longer. And we're talking, you know, with this whole hitting thing, 90+ mile-an-hour fastball is microseconds or nanoseconds, whatever the term would be, but just a little bit longer.
Matsui is the turn back towards second. Allows Loesch to take a look at Hunter Pence. Matsui singled on a 3-2 count in the first inning and stole a base. Yeah, Hunter's really been doing well. Hitting the ball to right field.
Drag bunt, not a bad idea here.
Loesch will play it to first as Hunter Pence goes to third on a sacrifice by Matsui. And now Miguel Tejada comes up with a runner at third and 1 out.
I understand the play. I can't say I'm a big fan of the play. Giving yourself up this early in the game to advance the base runner. It's a late game play for sure. I prefer that he try to maybe drag a bunt or, you know, bunt for a base hit.
Third baseman Gloss is even with the bag. Pujols well off the line. And the Cardinals Facing Tejada now with 39 runs batted in. Miggy's hitting .362 at home, .262 on the road. And he looks at ball one with Lance Berkman on deck.
Out of time. They've got a sign for every player.
They have come well armed. Fouls it back, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike for Miggy. Doesn't like to take days off, but he got one Friday night. Mark Loretta played shortstop. Loretta went 4 for 4 in that game. Then Tejada returned to the lineup last night, hit a homer and a single, and lined out to left field.
Strikeout victim first time up. Needs to shorten the stroke here. Make sure you make contact. Infield's back. Ground ball to the middle of the diamond, gets the run home.
They appeal at first. Check swing call. Chuck Merriweather with a call, and it's 2-1.
It's Chuck about 6'9".
I'm not sure.
Is he just looking? From up here,
he looks 6'9".
He's long. Huh? Yeah, probably not 6'9", but he's long.
It's 3-1 now, and the man who's leading Miguel Tejada in the National League All-Star balloting at shortstop, Andy Ramirez of Florida, has hit his 13th home run. Florida leading Cincinnati 6-1 in the 6th. Tejada only about 8,000 votes behind. Lance Berkman is leading at first base, and he's on deck. Loesch put that one in a tough spot for a right-handed hitter. Now it's a full count.
And again, Miguel on 3-1. He's thinking he's going to get a fastball. He's going to get something he can do some damage with. And he just gets a little overly anxious. And he got him full in the count, and he hasn't thrown a strike yet.
In the dirt, and Tejada takes a rare walk, only his 11th of the year. First walk for Loesch today. He's really kept his walks down this season.
Molina first jumping outside, and then at the last minute bouncing inside, initially showing that he's going to throw a slider away and then go back to the fastball in. That's how they got Tejada out last time. There's the Puma sign.
They have brought a sign for every player on the Astros, we're told. Berkman hit a liner to left field, caught by a leaping Barton in the first inning. Pitch was right where the target was, but it's ball one.
I'll really be impressed if Reggie Abercrombie comes into this game to pinch hit and they got a Reggie sign.
He just got here last night.
That'd be pretty. That'd be pretty cool.
Loesch gets strike one. Phillies lead Atlanta 3-2 in Atlanta. In the top of the 4th inning, Mark Teixeira hit his 10th home run for the Braves. It's 2 balls and a strike. The walk to Tejada gives the Cardinals the possibility of escaping the inning with a double play ball. Berkman's grounded into 4 in 228 at bats. Ryan is not far from the bag at shortstop. Loesch missing in again, goes to 3-1 in the count.
Looks to me like Loesch is so concerned with preventing that run from third from scoring that he's losing his aggressiveness. Nibbling to Tejada, and now again with Lance, and something more understandable with Lance.
Deep drive center field, way back into center. That is a bomb. 3-run shot for Berkman, number 18 of the year, giving him 51 runs batted in. That made the 3rd row. And with that home run, another $14,000 has been raised to support prostate cancer research. To make a donation, you can call 800-798-CURE or go online to prostatecancerfoundation.org. He was unleashed.
Uma was unleashed, all right. A 3-1 changeup, but a hanger. Loesch trying so hard to prevent that one run from scoring. Walked Tejada, got behind Berkman, and then paid dearly for it. Into somebody's brunch out there.
Boy. Carlos Lee takes a look at ball one. That made it well up into the Nine Amigos patio. Almost reached the kitchen of the restaurant.
He gets extended on that. There's no doubt about it. I love that reaction. He's just going to lay the bat down. Go for a nice, easy jog. Look how far that thing goes.
Ooh.
Mather. He's trying to climb the wall. Look out! Cover your eggs. Incoming.
Now Carlos Lee looks at it, and it's 2 balls, no strikes. It's only the 4th home run Loesch has allowed this season. That was certainly an impressive one. Tap to Troy Gloss's left.
It's 436 straight away on the sign there. That hit up 3rd level of that dining area, or 2nd level?
Looked like the 3rd.
Oh, that's got to be close to 450, doesn't it?
Yeah, we don't have the official measurement yet. Pass it along to you when we get it. 460, they're saying.
460. Gee-pop.
That's one of the longest hit here to center field, certainly. Ty Wigginton with ball one. Wiggy shot a line drive single into center field first time. 1 ball, 1 strike. That's Berkman's 5th homer this year against the Cardinals, and the 35th of his career. Fouled away, 1-2 the count. Lance leads the majors in extra base hits. That was his 43rd. Also leads the majors in total bases. That gives him 167 now, with 4 bases from that swing. Still 1 ball, 2 strikes.
No, they're saying that's the 3rd longest home run in the history of Minute Maid Park.
Wigginton fouls it back. Yeah, as Joe Mather was trying to climb that wall and get into the Nine Amigos patio, we were thinking not even Eddie Haskell could have gone up there and grabbed that one. Chopped the shortstop. Brennan Ryan makes the quick throw. And in the 3rd inning, the Astros put up a 3 spot for Wandy Rodriguez. 3 runs on 2 hits, and what a hit by Lance Berkman. 3-0 Houston. It's 3-0 on the big Lance Berkman home run to center field. Time for our Dodge Texas Truck Stop feature. Let's hear what people don't know about Hunter Pence.
I learned how to do a double front on our trampoline, and I didn't know that that's like the most dangerous move you can do. You can easily break your neck if you mess up, because you'll just fall over on top of your head. And my mom came out 100 miles an hour about to kill me for doing it, and I was like, what's wrong with that?
Well, his mom knew he was going to be a very fine major league player someday. That's what's wrong with that. There's strike 1 to Ryan Ludwig. He grounded out to Wandy in the 1st inning. Now Wandy with some working room, leading 3-0.
I wonder if he can do a triple Lindy.
Oh, probably. You wouldn't want to bet against Hunter. 1 ball, 1 strike. He got the rally started with a double to right field. That's tapped foul off the end of the bat, and Ludwig has a 1-2 count. Astros have signed 4 more players from the draft. Now they've signed 10 of the 52 players they drafted already. Recent signings include 9th round pick left-handed pitcher Luis Cruz, San Juan, Puerto Rico. 10th round pick Jared Holloway, left-handed pitcher from St. Petersburg, Florida Junior College. University of Portland outfielder Danny Meyer, their 24th round pick, and their 35th round choice, a catcher Rene Garcia from Puerto Rico. Ludwig's down on strikes. That's number 5. Wandy Rodriguez.
Wandy is dealing. This is impressive. I don't know what's coming. The fastball in, the fastball away, the curveball. The change.
He was matched with Todd Wellemeyer his first 2 starts against the Redbirds this season. Troy Gloss got the single, the line drive off Wigginson's glove. That's strike 1. Wellemeyer went back to St. Louis for an MRI on his right elbow. And now Adam Wainwright has had the sprained middle finger in last night's game. The Redbirds banged up bunch on the mound right now. And they will call on a rookie to make his first major league start on Tuesday.
And Pinheiro still on the disabled list.
2 balls and a strike. Mitchell Boggs, who appeared in relief Friday night, will be the starter Tuesday at Cincinnati. 2-hopper Tejada takes the extra time with Gloss running. 2 down. Yadier Molina, the batter. Last night we were talking about the 3 Molina catching brothers. We were trying to recall, and then it hit me when I got home, the Cruz brothers, of course. Forgot about them. Trying to remember 3 Major League Baseball playing brothers. Hector and Tommy and Cheo. But there are others. Fly ball to center field. Michael Bourne waiting. It's a quick 4th, and the Astros lead it 3-0. Jack in the Box standings show you the Astros minor league clubs. We'll get to that as we go through the 4th inning. Round Rock Express at 27-35, Corpus 27-33. Then you see Salem, Lexington, and the other 2 clubs will play later on this month. Michael Bourne, the batter. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. Bourne hit a fly ball to left with 2 men on in the 2nd inning. And those 2 clubs on the bottom of those listings there will be stocked by guys from the draft. Fly ball to center. Joe Mather moving over. 1 down. Rick Ankiel has been back in St. Louis this weekend with an infection in his right knee from a diving catch he made on the warning track last Sunday. Cardinals hoping to avoid placing him on the disabled list. Brad Ausmus, line to right field. He worked the count to 3-1 with a couple of men on base and hit the ball hard in the 2nd inning. Kyle Loesch has gone at least 6 innings in all of his career starts against Houston. Strike to Ausmus. He's had some tough losses to Roy Oswalt. He's lost 3 times to Roy. It's 1-1. Ausmus shoots 1 foul. 1-2. Cardinal pitching staff has really acquitted itself very well in the 11 games against Houston with a 3.25 ERA. Tap to shortstop. Brendan Ryan. 2 outs. And it's Wandy Rodriguez coming up.
Interesting rotation that Tony La Russa's got going in his infield. I mean, Pujols and Gloss are pretty much out there every day, but those middle infielders, he rotates them, plays them all over. And Ryan and Miles today, but tomorrow might be Asturis and Kennedy. Any combination, guys can play. Well, Kennedy doesn't play any shortstop, but the other guys move around.
Yeah. Does have some flexibility there. No balls and a strike. It's 0-2 to Wandy. And did he check? The appeal goes to Chuck Merriweather. He struck out in the 4th inning. Kyle Loesch has a 1-2-3 frame and keeps the score 3-0 Astros.
We've played 4 innings. The Astros lead the Cardinals 3-0. On Thursday, the Astros and the Brewers play an afternoon game, 1:05. And the first 10,000 fans will receive an Astros retro t-shirt courtesy of Bastion Technologies. After the game, a concert with Reckless Kelly. The concert is free with your game ticket, so how about a long lunch? Great music with the Ziegenbach Music Series. Get your tickets by calling 1-877-9-ASTROS or log on to astros.com.
Sounds like a workable plan for Thursday at 1 o'clock. Brewers and the Astros. It's kind of a retro shirt he has on. Brian Moeller and Ben Sheets.
It's the old BP shirt he used to have.
Brian Barton leads it off in the 5th inning. He singled in the 2nd. Backhanded Ty Wigginton. One pitch, one out for Wandy Rodriguez. Astros really fought hard last night after trailing 7-0. Wigginton was in tight on that one. Made the quick crossover step. They would love to win one in the easy way today after falling behind 7-0, then getting back in that game last night and having a real chance. They had 2 men on in the 8th inning, trailing 7-4. Loesch struck out looking in the 2nd. They strike 1 to Loesch. Very exciting weekend in baseball, not only at the major league level, but the college level. Those super regionals. 1 ball, 1 strike. Rice won game 1 of its series with Texas A&M 9-7. Game 2 will be tonight at Reckling Park here in Houston at 6 o'clock.
Ooh, I smell a Bill Brown doubleheader.
No. 2 balls and a strike. And Arizona beat Miami 6-3 Friday night. Pop back. John Gaston hit a 3-run homer in the 11th inning. He was the Astros 7th round draft choice.
Any relation to Cito?
Don't know about that. None that we know of. There's a strikeout on a foul tip. Loesch is down on strikes, and that's number 6 for Wandy.
I guess we'd have known that if that was Cito Gaston's kid or something.
Yeah. Last night, the Stanford catcher Jason Castro, the Astros 1st round draft choice, had a big game, and the Cardinal has made it to the College World Series. Aaron Miles has struck out first time. There's ball 1 to Miles. Next weekend, the Yankees will be here at Minute Maid Park for a 3-game series. Fouled away, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike. Andy Pettitte really got tattooed yesterday, giving up 10 earned runs, but he got off the hook, and the Yankees won a thriller on Johnny Damon's 6th hit of the day.
1 for you, 2 for me.
Yeah. A rationing system there. 1-2 the count.
He's not waiting on Big Brother now. He's just going straight in with a finger.
Yeah. Rolled out to Miguel Tejada at short. He takes care of Miles. And 11 straight Cardinals have been retired by Wandy Rodriguez. That youngster likes what he's seeing. It's 3-0 Astros. Hunter Pence leads it off. The Astros 3, the Cardinals nothing, and there's strike 1 for Kyle Loesch. Hunter triggered the 3-run rally in the 3rd inning with a double to right field. He's 1 for 2. He has a .341 on base average. And now leading off again today with Michael Bourne batting in that 7th spot. That is a strike. And it's 0-2. Chuck Merriweather ringing him up for a swing on that one. So Hunter has led off in all 3 games in this series. And Loesch gets a strikeout. Number 3, what's on tap with the Astros, brought to you by Bud Light. Looking ahead to the Milwaukee series starting Tuesday night. Roy Oswalt, Seth McClung, Wednesday night, Brandon Backey, Manny Parra, who's a lefty, really pitching well for the Brewers. And Thursday, that's a day game at 1 o'clock. And it's Brian Moeller and Ben Sheets. All those games on FSN and HD. Brian Moeller pitched really well here Friday night. Kazuo Matsui has a single and a sac bunt. There's ball 1 to him. Brian's ERA as a member of the Astros rotation is 3 now.
And normally when you have what you consider to be your 5th starter going up against their ace, you think that's going to be a tough matchup. But the way Brian Moeller is pitching right now, I like his chances.
Oh, yeah. 2 balls, 1 strike to Matsui. It's Detroit 5, Cleveland 2. They're in the bottom of the 6th at Detroit. Curtis Granderson hit his 8th homer. Foul tip evens the count at 2-2 now. Yankees are leading Kansas City 4-3. They're in the bottom of the 6th. Javi Abreu hit his 8th. Jason Giambi another one, his 14th. And Jose Guillen connected for number 10 for Kansas City. Flick foul, still 2-2. Guillen had a big 7 RBI game yesterday, but his team lost. Mark Reynolds hit number 12 for Arizona. Pittsburgh leads Arizona 5-2, bottom of the 5th inning in Pittsburgh. Little chop. Loesch to Pujols. 2 outs. Now Miguel Tejada follows. Miggy struck out in the 1st inning. He drew an important walk in the 3rd. Loesch had runners at 1st and 3rd and 1 out. And Lance Berkman worked the count to 3-1 and hammered one. 51 runs batted in for Lance. Strike 1 for Miggy. These 2 teams have played 74 games each other at Minute Maid Park, and they've each won 37. And there's been a difference of only 4 runs scored over all those games.
Did you see the start of the network game yesterday, Cubs Dodgers?
No.
They had a graphic up there tracing the history of those 2 teams that have been around forever. And they were dead even, like 1,011 and 1,011 in their history.
That's crazy.
So yesterday was the rubber game. That's why Carlos Zambrano was so upset.
Oh, so that's
throwing
why.
coolers around. There was so much at stake.
No balls, 2 strikes. Tejada takes a little walk. Well, the Cubs have still had a decent road trip. And they have a .619 winning percentage, tied with the Yankees for the best in the majors at 39 and 24. I don't see too many of those Expos caps around anymore.
Vintage there, old school.
Still 0-2 for Tejada. Milwaukee's a half game ahead of the Astros, so that'll be a battle for 3rd place as of Tuesday night. Both clubs would love to be making a move. Brewers certainly did a number of the Astros in Milwaukee. One ball, 2 strikes. Toronto 5, Baltimore 4. They've played 7 at Rogers Center.
Luke Scott with a pair of home runs today. He now has 9.
He is a streaky hitter, isn't he? Line to Gloss. And a 1-2-3 5th, and now Loesch has set down 8 in a row. It's 3-0 Houston after 5. Houston Astros baseball on My 20 is being brought to you by your Texas Ford dealer, by Chevy, and by Southwest Airlines. It's that Minute Maid squeeze play zone down the right field line where the kids can go and get in some baseball. Inning number 6. It's 3-0. The Astros lead out on the real field with Wandy Rodriguez having retired 11 straight. Brendan Ryan leading it off. And looking at strike one. Cardinals put together 2 singles in the second inning, Gloss and Barton, but then Rodriguez struck out Loesch and Miles to end that threat. Bunted foul. No balls, 2 strikes for Ryan. Milwaukee got 2 in the first at Colorado. Now the Rockies bat in the bottom half. Cardinals came in from their previous series, a day-night doubleheader in Washington, pretty tired. Got to bed late. Fly ball left. Carlos Lee backing on it now. Started in. 1 down.
Carlos fooled by that one a little bit. Got in on Ryan. I think the ball had a little backspin, a little extra carry. Wandy, man, he's just got an air about him today of complete confidence as number 12 in a row settles into Carlos's glove out there and left.
Now it's Joe Mather. Popped up, but no play for Brad Ausmus as strike one goes back into the seats. He's only thrown 67 pitches. 42 of his first 64 pitches were strikes. Broken bat. Tejada to his right. Throws from the grass. Good strong throw to get Mather. 2 outs. Wandy has ruined some wood today. Albert Pujols has walked and grounded out. Longest stretch of hitless games for Pujols at Minute Maid Park was 4 hitless games in a row in 01. He was hitless in a 3-game series here in September of 01. That's the first time that has ever happened to Albert in a 3-game series in this ballpark. Berkman up the right field line. Hunter Pence coming in. Matsui over with an angle, and Berkman ranges far up the line to make the catch. Now it's getting very interesting with Wandy dazzling the Redbirds and leading 3-0 in the 6th. It's 3-0 Houston. Voting for the 2008 Major League Baseball All-Star Game is going on now. Vote early and vote often to get your favorite Astros stars like Berkman, Matsui, and Tejada into the Midsummer Classic this July in New York. You can vote up to 25 times online. There's a bunt in the air. Kyle Loesch over, and he makes the running play. And that is out number 1 as Lance Berkman tried to bunt his way on here in the 6th. You can visit Astros.com today. Make sure you vote Astros for the All-Star Game, including Berkman. Well, he put down a bunt hit a few days ago. But that tells you that Loesch has been making it tough to hit, but Berkman hit the ball 460 feet the last time up, and he tried to bunt.
I'll show you his whole game. Well, last time there was a couple guys on base, so obviously he's thinking about driving in runs. This time he's thinking about being a table setter. Certain times where it's a smart play, and other times where it's not, and certainly it made sense to try it there.
Now, Loesch has been dealing as well. He gets lost in the shuffle with Wandy pitching so well, but he's thrown 16 of 22 first pitch strikes.
Now his game has actually helped Wandy because he's working with a quick tempo and having some quick innings. That really helps Wandy, who's really locked in. And to me, this is kind of a game to pitch. Have a 3 or 4 run lead. The other guy's working quickly. You know, one mistake's not going to beat you.
3-2 now to El Caballo. He singled in the second inning, then he grounded out. And this time he takes a 1-out walk. 9 straight have been set down by Loesch. Firestone in-game box score will show you what the Astros hitters are doing today. That's the second walk for Loesch in this game. Ty Wigginton rammed a single into center field in the second inning. He grounded out to short in the third. Jason Castro drove in 4 last night as Stanford beat Cal State Fullerton 8-5. There's ball 1, so it'll be fun to watch the Astros' first-round pick in the College World Series coming up.
Stanford man Dave Raymond was not popping off earlier today about that. I'm surprised.
No?
Maybe I just didn't run across him at the right time.
I would have to think he would be bringing some game on that later on. Lost to his left, quick throw to second, and the relay from Miles makes it a 5-4-3 double play. After 6 quick ones, it's 3-0 Astros.
Welcome back. The Astros lead the Cardinals 3-0, top of the 7th. Next Sunday, A-Rod, Derek Jeter, the New York Yankees in town for the first time ever, and it comes your way at 1 here on My 20.
That's going to be some fun. Ryan Ludwig with strike 1. 14 straight Cardinals have been retired by Wandy Rodriguez, who's been dazzling through 6. He's allowed 2 singles. He's walked 1. Ludwig has grounded out to the pitcher and struck out. It's a 1-1 count, but Kyle Loesch has kept the Astros within reach, allowing the 3-run homer to Lance Berkman in the 3rd inning, and then shutting things down for the Astros offense. Since then, he got a double play on Wigginton to end the 6th. 1-2. Breaking pitch comes in for Wandy.
Gives up right into the zone. And then the swing and the miss changeup or curveball down a little bit further. He's able to just get a piece of.
Well, a starting rotation will usually take a club wherever it winds up. Wandy's a very important man. He hits Ludwig, just nipped him on the left arm. Had him behind in the count 1-2, and the hit batsman ends the streak of 14 straight outs for Wandy. 76 pitches for Wandy in this game, and he threw 18 of those in the 2nd inning when he gave up the 2 singles. Troy Gloss, who has showed off his power in this series, is 1 for 2, ripping a line drive single off the glove of Wigginton.
First time Wandy's been in the stretch since the 2nd inning.
Paid attendance 39,923. These Yankees games next weekend are sellouts, as are the Boston Red Sox games later on this month, as interleague play returns to Minute Maid Park. First trip ever for the Yankees and the Red Sox to this ballpark this month. Strike, and the curveball bites to make it 1-2 on Gloss. Boston currently in first place in the AL East by a half game over Tampa Bay. Yankees are tied with Toronto 6.5 back. 2-2. Speaking of Toronto, Troy Gloss's former club, Scott Rowland is playing well for that team right now, hitting over 300. Three and 2 now.
That's the fear. You know, he's been so sharp today, now back into the stretch for the first time and leaving the ball up a little bit. Sometimes it's a little bit of a challenge to stay back, to keep your weight back when you get into the stretch position for the first time in a while.
Grounded on one hop. Wigginton juggles, control of it now. Everybody's safe. He was trying to get rid of it and force Ludwig at second. Then he lost control, and that'll be his 5th error.
And a fielder's choice and an E5. Just realizing that they needed 2 long throws to complete the double play, but he had time with Gloss going down the line, just trying to be a little too quick.
That gives the Cardinals an opening now. 2 men on, nobody out. 5th error for Wigginton this year. Change of baseballs. And it's Yadier Molina batting. Molina's 0 for 2.
2 on, nobody out. First real crisis point in this game for one. The good news is they're moving down towards the bottom of the order. Molina certainly a double play candidate if you can get him to hit it on the ground.
There is some bullpen action for the Astros. There's ball 1 to Molina.
Triple plays in order.
Ooh. Doug Brocail is warming up. Line drive over shortstop into left field. The runner's held and the bases are loaded. Well, Ludwig didn't seem to know that ball was dropping in. Molina with a single, the 3rd hit for the Cardinals. Now bases loaded, nobody out for Barton.
A little soft line drive off the end of the bat. You see Ludwig breaks and then waits. Lost sight of it, so he wanted to make sure it was down so he didn't get doubled off.
Pitching coach Dewey Robinson comes out. 7th inning, Brocail getting loose already. Normally he pitches in the 8th, but that might tell you something about the importance with which the Astros regard this game and the way things have gone. So good for Wandy, and yet it can get away in a quick amount of time. So with a day off coming tomorrow, it's Brocail getting loose. And now Brian Barton, the batter. Pitcher spot due up next. Loesch is on deck with Barton 1 for 2 in this game. Ron Vallone, the lefty, warms up for St. Louis. Cardinals ready to pinch hit. And it's ball 1.
Now the best pinch hit options for the Cardinals are all left-handed hitters. I should say both left-handed hitters. And Keel's not here, but Schumacher and Kennedy from the left side, then switch hitting Cesar Asturis and the backup catcher Jason LaRue. LaRue's a right-handed hitter.
Tap foul. 1-1. Barton seemed to, well, he's asking something of Tim Welke there about where that pitch location was, it appeared. Big situation here. The Cardinals 5th in the league in runs scored, and the bases loaded, nobody out. Bottom of the order due up for Houston in the last of the 7th inning. Wandy pitched 6 shutout innings in his last start, beating the Pirates 2-0. Now here's a threat to his consecutive scoreless inning string of 12, certainly. Fly ball up the right field line. Hunter Pence backing on it deep into the corner. He makes the catch. Here's the tag at 3rd. Ludwig coming home. The throw goes into second base. And it's 3-1 now on a sac fly by Barton, scoring Ludwig, and Bloss advances to 3rd. RBI number 8 for Barton. Now the Cardinals get a pinch hitter. Cesar Asturis out to the on-deck circle. That gets Kyle Loesch out of the game. Loesch with 6 innings of work, allowing 5 hits, 3 runs. He had 2 walks and he had 3 strikeouts. Asturis 247, 1 homer, 12 runs batted in, 0 for 7 in this series.
Been better from this side of the plate. 273 as a right-handed hitter.
Aaron Miles is in the on-deck circle. Strike 1 to Asturis. Asturis has grounded into 2 double plays and 170 at bats.
It's his first pinch hit at bat of the year.
1-1 to the Venezuelan-born shortstop. Tap foul, and it's 1-2 to Cesar Torres. Blows through 90 pitches in the game. 56 of them were strikes. A career .333 pinch hitter. As Torres has a 1-2 count now. That hit him, and the bases are loaded again. So for the second time in the inning, Wandy Rodriguez hits a batter on a 1-2 pitch. He hit Ludwig to open the frame.
And normally it's a guy hit a batter, two batters in the same inning. You think, well, he's losing it, he's wild, but he's really not. He just, he's exactly what he's trying to do is come hard in, as he has the hitters leaning over the outside plate, so he's missing his spot by just a little bit.
He had not hit a batter this season coming into this game in 34 innings. Aaron Miles 0 for 2. Fouls it away. There's strike one with Brendan Ryan on deck. Kyle Loesch with another fine start against the Astros. Kept his club in it. Now the Cardinals have scored one. Miles 1 for 2 with the bases loaded.
He too a switch hitter. Better from the left side. Well, it'd be a shame if this one got away from Wandy. He has pitched a beautiful game here this afternoon.
He goes to the curve and makes it 1-2. .93 pitches thrown by Rodriguez in this game. He's due up third in the bottom half. Now 2 balls, 2 strikes. Astros have won 4 of his last 6 starts.
Countering that backdoor curveball with fastball in, but having hit 2 batters in this inning, a little reluctant to do it probably, so they backed up the curveballs back to back here with Miles.
And another curve is tapped foul.
I think if you're Brad and you're back there calling this game, you're thinking, well, maybe we can get him out in, but I'm probably more concerned with not so much that he hit Miles, but that he would leave one over the middle because of the 2 hit batsmen.
Miles is a .379 career hitter with the bases loaded. Down on strikes. 7 strikeouts ties the high for 2008 for Wandy Rodriguez. Now 2 outs, and it's Brendan Ryan.
Oh, what a job he is doing, moving the ball in and out. This time a little 2-seam fastball. He turns it over, runs it off the outside corner.
Ryan is struck out. Fly to center, fly to left. Oh, the bat takes off and goes into the stands.
Changeup. That was a changeup he got Miles with too. I thought it was a 2-seamer, but the same exact pitch. Everybody okay down there?
We saw some folks scattering when that bat was flying toward them. Guy in the yellow shirt has a right hand injury. No balls and a strike. It's 0-2. Very supportive crowd, 39,923 bought tickets, and they have seen a dazzling performance from Wandy Rodriguez. That one bounces and goes up on the screen, and run number 2 will score. All the runners advance. And it's now a 1-run lead for the Astros on an 0-2 pitch, a wild pitch. Bad things have been happening to Wandy with 2 strikes in the count.
He's had very little luck. He's trying to throw a curveball, swing and miss curveball down out of the strike zone. That's what you're supposed to do with 2 strikes. Drop it out there on home plate. Theoretically, and that time literally dropped it on home plate and got the bad bounce. Anything else, Ausmus is able to knock down.
Up the middle and into center. The Cardinals will tie it, and they go for the lead. Here's Bourne with a throw to the plate. And they do have the lead. Throwing to second, not in time. Now what a turnaround. Brendan Ryan with a 2-run single. Then he continues to second on the throw, and the Cardinals lead it now 4-3.
Wow. Wow.
This crowd is stunned.
He pitched such a beautiful game and had absolutely no luck whatsoever in this inning. People will be upset. Gee, why didn't Cooper pull him earlier? Well, because he was in complete command and was making quality pitches throughout.
And now that move will be made as the Cardinals have the lead 4-3. You could see with the reaction of Ryan at second base how pumped he was. It'll be a double switch with Mark Loretta coming off the bench, and he's going over to play third base. And Doug Brocail coming in with a score. The Cardinals 4, the Astros 3 in the 7th. Well, the Cardinals, who trailed 3-0, have made a lot of things happen with 2 strikes in this inning. 2 hit batsmen with 2 strikes, then a wild pitch, and on a 1-2 count, Ryan gave them the lead with a 2-run single. Now Mark Loretta comes in at third base in the double switch. He's batting 9th, and Doug Brocail comes into the number 6 spot, and he's 2-0 with a 2.53 earned run average.
Albert Pujols waits on deck, so obviously this is the man you want to get. Been very good this year. Very aggressive. Mather can probably count on seeing strike 1 right here.
Mather does look at strike 1. He's 0 for 3. Tough afternoon for Wandy Rodriguez. Gave up 4 singles. Oh, so close to escaping his damage in the 7th inning on several occasions.
Just one of those whatever could go wrong did go wrong. Made decent pitches inside, hit batters with them ahead in the count. The Wigginton error on a probable double play ball.
That makes all these runs unearned. 2 balls and a strike, but it doesn't take away the sting of being behind right now. And Kyle Loesch could be a winning pitcher.
Yeah, and that's one of the tough things for a manager. If you're Cecil Cooper, you're probably thinking, boy, I'd love to do everything I can to give Wandy a chance to win this game. And that would have meant leaving me in there for 1 more hitter. But if strategically you feel like you're better off with Brocail, then you have to make that move.
Fly ball to right center. Hunter Pence, Michael Bourne. It drops, and another run scores. And it's 5-3 as Pence and Bourne, either one could have caught it, and they both backed off. And the inning comes unraveled for the Astros.
Calling. Hunter obviously was calling two, or Bourne would have just come in and caught that ball. Center fielder has priority there. They've had a couple near collisions out there this year.
Bourne is charged with his 5th error. Intentional walk to Pujols now. And the Cardinals bat around in the inning. Pujols the batter. They'll bring up Ludwig with 2 men on and 2 outs.
I guess the secret here on those tweeners in the outfield is for, once you establish that either guy, because that ball wasn't, it was up there in the air a long time, so either guy could have easily made the play. So just peel off. Just give up on it and let the other guy take over. Because the confusion comes when both guys continue to pursue it.
Right.
Sometimes in a line drive in the alley like that, and you can't ascertain that either guy is definitely going to be the guy to make the play, you have to keep going. But on a ball like that, a relatively easy play for either one of them. Somebody's got to peel off early.
Osmus with a pat on the backside for Brocale. Ludwig is the batter. This is an absolutely crazy inning. 5 runs have scored on 2 hits, 2 errors. Ludwig started it, hit by a pitch. He's 0 for 2 in this game. There's ball 1.
And these are the kinds of games that really sting, because for most of the afternoon this felt like a W. Wandy was in complete control. You had the 3-run lead. So there'll be some screaming going on in the dugout when this inning ends. There'll be some guys, hey, let's go, shake it up.
1 ball, 1 strike. Ron Ballone had been warming up for the Redbirds several minutes ago in their bullpen. They may switch now with the 5-3 lead. 1-2. Wandy was 1-2 on Ludwig leading off the inning, hit him with a pitch. He was 1-2 on his Turris, hit him with a pitch. 1-2 on Ryan, who got the 2-run single after the wild pitch on 0-2. Two balls, 2 strikes. Oh, so close to ending it several times. Fouled away. Still 2-2 with Gloss on deck. Brocale last worked on Thursday in Pittsburgh. 1 hitless inning for Doug. So with a day off coming tomorrow, he gets into this game, and his appearances continue to pile up at a rapid clip. This is number 32 of the year. He's pitched in half the games. Still 2-2.
The Astros are playing the Diamondbacks, and Brocale came in. Mark Grace, doing the game for Arizona, said, Doug Brocale, 63 years old and still throwing 90 miles an hour.
Yeah. It might seem that way to a lot of people. He's in the top 10 of the majors with those 32 appearances. Strike 3 ends the 7th inning for St. Louis, but it was a long one for Houston with 5 runs scoring on 2 hits and 2 men left. 2 errors in the inning. 5-3 St. Louis now.
5-3 now. The Cardinals lead the Astros. Bottom half of the 7th. This year, when you can't be home to watch your Astros, why not check out MLB.tv? Every out-of-market game available live online, and you can catch those you missed on demand. Radio broadcasts also included this year. Check it out.
Michael Bourne versus Ron Ballone. Bourne showing bunt, and there's ball 1 as he leads off the home 7th inning. Michael 0 for 2. Ballone got him out in St. Louis on the last trip for the Astros. Bunted. Pujols tries to get there and does not tag it. A bunt hit from Michael Bourne, who had to get down, and he gets up slowly. He hit the deck hard to avoid the Pujols tag. Left rib cage.
Normally, Michael, when he bunts, he pushes it towards third base. Here, the drag bunt, well executed. Boy, if he can learn to do that. What a weapon that would be. And that was a pretty good one. Normally you're trying to get it out towards the second baseman. If you do that, it's a pretty easy play. But even with Pujols making that play, because of his speed, he was able to get by it. There's not many guys who can beat the first baseman on a play like that.
Bourne really landed hard, but he had to get by the Pujols tag. That's it for Valone. This time Bourne gets him. Last time it was the other way around. La Russa makes another move to the bullpen. And we'll be back with the score: St. Louis 5, Houston 3. (5-3) St. Louis, and now it's former Astro Russ Springer, and another former Astro, Ron Valone, preceded him to the mound. Oh, these guys have had some staying power, both Valone and Springer, in Major League Baseball. Russ has made 20 appearances with a 1-0 record and a 2.93 earned run average.
Yeah, Springer will turn 40 in November. He's been around a long time. He's been pitching very well this year. Spent some time on the DL earlier. He has not allowed a run since May 3rd.
Looks over his shoulder, and Michael Bourne, who's just taken his hitting streak to 5 games with that bunt single. Brad Ausmus is the batter. Mark Loretta on deck. Cardinals set up for a double play. The throw goes over. So obviously in this situation, the Astros down by 2. Would love to have Bourne steal that base and take them out of that ground ball double play situation. Michael with 24 steals in 28 attempts.
Springer, not much of a ground ball pitcher, but Brad hits the ball on the ground a lot. So that's kind of a...
This one on the line to right field, and that's in. And he gets by Ludwig, and Bourne is going to come around third and steam toward home plate. It's going to be an RBI double for Ausmus, and it's 5-4.
There's that old theory about advantage to the catcher when he's facing a guy he used to catch. Knows him very well, used to seeing his stuff. Maybe there's merit, maybe not. Fastball up and away, and he just shoots it into the alley in right center. And I imagine, as I said, with the Astros giving up that lead and the way they did in the last inning, I imagine the level of intensity in that dugout pretty high at the start of this inning.
And now it's a 1-run deficit. Bourne started it with a bunt single, came around to score on the Ausmus RBI double. 4th double for Ausmus, his 7th run batted in. Now Mark Loretta up for the first time. He entered the game in the double switch at third base. And Springer deals ball 1. Springer makes his 2nd appearance against the Astros this year. Loretta 283, 1 homer, 13 runs batted in, a 4-for-4 game Friday night. He was the starting shortstop against Braden Looper. Springer goes with a curve and falls behind 2-0. Hunter Pence on deck. Cardinal bullpen has 51 holds. That's tops in Major League Baseball. Springer has not given up a run in his last 10 1/3 innings until this one. But that run actually was charged to Valone, so he still hasn't.
Yeah, sometimes that's the question with relief pitchers. Not so much their runs, but they're giving up other guys' runs.
Russ said his family's in Louisiana, not making the trip over for this weekend series. He gets a strike, and the count's even at 2-2. Russ had some time on the DL back in April with a right elbow nerve irritation. This is his 16th Major League season.
Looking for a ground ball to the right side. Loretta may be the most adept player in the Astros roster getting it done.
And a strikeout.
He was thinking other way. Boy, that's a big strikeout for Springer. Pretty rare to see Mark come up empty in that situation. Usually count on him to make contact.
Strikeout number 4 for Cardinal pitching today. Fence's peeps would love to see Hunter keep it going. He has a double in 3 trips. Matsui on deck in a 1-run game. Cardinals got 5 in the top of the inning. Unearned runs. A high hopper to Troy Gloss, and he got it out of his glove finally for out number 2. The Astros need a lift from Matsui now. He's 1 for 2 with a sac bunt. No matter what happens, they're sure of getting a BLT sandwich to the plate. Cardinals have Gloss, Molina, and Barton due up in the 8th inning.
A little surprised the Cardinals outfielders aren't shortened up a little bit here. Because a single likely scores the tying run. And Matsui is more likely to drop one in front of you than it is to hit it over your head. And you got a shot at throwing Ausmus out on a line drive single. He doesn't run real well. Mather just moved in a few steps in center.
Crack bad roller. Ludwig is playing in Montgomery County. He's so deep. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And there are times when, you know, if there's a real speedy guy out there at second base, you don't think too much about it because you figure he's going to score on just about any base hit. But if you feel like you have a legitimate chance to throw a guy out at the plate, I think you should play it that way. You should try to hold him a little tighter with your middle infielders and shorten up in the outfield. Especially with a guy like Matsui, as I said, he doesn't have a lot of power, so you're not overly concerned that he's going to hit it over your head.
One and 2. Astros led 3-0 going to the 7th inning. Cardinals dropping a 5 spot on them. Now the Astros responding with a 7th inning run of their own. Hoping Matsui can come through, get Ausmus home to tie it. Springer's made more than 600 major league appearances in his career. In Russ's career, he has an ERA of 4.10 here at Minute Maid Park. Curve hits the dirt, and it's 2-2. Good stop by Molina.
Got an interesting mix in their bullpen right now. I mean, they've got all these kids, and McClellan and Perez and Worrell and Boggs. And then you got Springer and Vallone, who've been around for 100 years. That glove he's wearing is older than most of the other guys in their bullpen.
The Astros 1 for 8 with men in scoring position. The Berkman 3-run homer in the 3rd. Ryan at short makes the throw to Pujols for the final out, and the Astros get a run on 2 hits and strand a man. 5-4 Cardinals after 7. Houston Astros baseball on My 20, brought to you by Reliant Energy and by Dodge. 5-4 the Cardinals lead, moving to the 8th inning now with Doug Brocail on the mound. And when Doug came in the 7th inning, Wandy Rodriguez had been oh so close to maintaining the lead. The Cardinals breaking through, and then the error, the 2nd of the inning, allowing another run to come home. Now as he opens up the 8th inning, it's Troy Gloss to lead it off. Gloss 1 for 3 in this game. Molina and Barton to follow. Gloss singled in the 2nd inning with a line drive off the glove of Wigginton at 3rd. And he reached on a fielder's choice play in the 7th. That one in the air. Lance Berkman over into foul territory. And it's strike 1. So Brocail tries to hold the line, and the Astros with Tejada, Berkman, and Lee coming up in the bottom of the 8th inning hope to get the lead by then. Loss takes, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike. Rodriguez in 6 2/3 innings allowed 4 hits, 5 runs, no earned runs, walking 1, fanning 7. Carlos Lee waiting in left. 1 out for Brocail in the 8th. Yadier Molina follows.
Well, you know, the old adage in baseball is you're going to win 60 at least, you're going to lose 60 at least, and what do you do with those other games will determine your season. This is one of those other games. You know, this is the kind of game that if you lose, it really stings.
Molina had a hit in that 5-run 7th. Barton on deck. Florida beat Cincinnati 9-2. Breaking pitch up for ball 1. Hanley Ramirez hit 2 homers to give him 14. Corey Patterson hit number 5 for the losing Reds. The Reds dropped to 4 below 500. There's a shot. What a play by Matsui to his left, going to Berkman. That ball really nailed by Molina, but Matsui had quick hands. Sparkling effort for the 2nd out.
Pretty play. Talked earlier about his quickness with his feet and pretty slick work with the hands there. Not time to get in front of it.
Barton singled in the 2nd inning, delivered a sac fly in the 7th. Skip Schumacher's on deck. Pitcher spot due up. Showing bunt. He misses. Strike 1.
Kazuo Matsui, certainly the best 10-error second baseman in the league right now.
He is.
I mean, he's made a lot of errors, but you cannot convince anybody who's watched him play that he's not an outstanding defensive player.
0-2. Aaron Harang lost that game for the Reds. He's 2-9. Detroit beat Cleveland 5-2. Armando Galarraga won that one. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Yankees down Kansas City 6-3. Mariano Rivera getting his 16th save. Phillies and Atlanta tied 3-3 in the bottom of the 8th. Still 1-2 to Barton.
What do you know about Dion Vicedo?
Nothing.
He's a Cuban defector, 18-year-old third baseman, considered one of their better players.
Really?
Played in the Cuban majors when he was 15.
Did he defect to the Dominican Republic?
He's in Miami.
Okay. Strikeout for Doug Brocail, who has a 1-2-3-8 thanks to Matsui. Bottom of the 8th, Tejada, Berkman, and Lee in just a moment. Your Houston Association of Realtors brings you the schedule for the next homestand. Tuesday night, 6:30 for the pregame show in high def on FSN. Seth McClung and Roy Oswalt at 7:05. Wednesday, it's Manny Parra, the lefty who pitched so well against the Astros in Milwaukee, against Brandon Backey. And Thursday at 12:30 pregame show, Ben Sheets and Brian Moeller. The Yankees are coming. Miss Scarlett next weekend. Brian Ludwig has moved across from right field to left field. And Skip Schumacher's the new center fielder for the Cardinals, who lead at 5-4. Joe Mather moves to right field. And Chris Perez is on the mound. Miguel Tejada fouls it. There's strike 1. Russ Springer in 1 inning, allowed 1 hit, no runs. Had 1 strikeout. Ron Vallone, no innings, 1 hit, 1 run. Tejada is 0 for 2 with a walk.
Well, this seems like this would be the inning to get it done.
Yeah, it does. Chris Perez throws a crisp fastball that went inside at 96, and he's appeared 3 times already against the Astros of his 11 major league appearances.
That rookie right-hander is got big time stuff. Mid-90s fastball, a hard slider.
Whoa!
Mickey's first move is to dive out to cover the outside corner. That makes it awfully tough for him to get out of the way of that riding fastball up and in towards his chin, and thank goodness he did. Pitch from Doug Brocail last year. Broke his wrist. And you talk about, baseball not being a contact sport. How about this situation, having to step back in there after that 95-mile-an-hour heater came that close to your head?
He fouls it.
And the commit to hanging in there. My goodness.
2-2.
Hitters will tell you that, getting hit by a pitch, especially a dangerous one up like that, is kind of always in the back of your mind. But you're able to kind of keep it pushed back there. But after one of those, it moves a little bit more to the front of your mind.
Perez has pitched scoreless ball in his 3 outings against the Astros. And then that pitch, strike 3. Brought up AAA Memphis with the injury to Isringhausen. He painted that one. Now this should be a delightful confrontation with Lance Berkman batting. He's 1 for 3. Hit a 460-foot homer to the third deck of Nine Amigos patio. Then he tried to bunt his way on in the 6th inning and popped it up. Strike to Berkman.
I'd settle for 318 feet into the Crawford boxes right here.
So would a lot of folks. Perez gave up 2 hits in the 8-4 Cardinal win last night, but no runs. He got a double play as Hunter Pence grounded into one, but Michael Bourne hit a ball off the right field wall, which went into the seats. The umpires called fan interference, ruled it a double. Should have been a home run. 1 ball, 1 strike. Berkman fouls it away, and it's 1-2. In the 3-2 win for the Cardinals, Perez came in with that 3-1 lead in the 8th inning, May 29th, and got Matsui and Tejada. They closed out a 6-1 win in St. Louis the night before, so he's been getting some late inning assignments against the Astros and doing well. Berkman pops it up foul. Troy Gloss coming over and can't get to it. Cardinals did a lot of damage on 1 and 2 counts in the 7th inning. Now Berkman hit one just out of Gloss's reach on 1 and 2 to stay alive. Toronto beat Baltimore 5-4. Roy Halladay going to 8-5 with his 4th straight win. 2-2. Jose Valverde is working in the Houston bullpen. Randy Flores in the St. Louis pen. Chris Perez from Bradenton, Florida, University of Miami. Blocked by Miles. Well, Berkman's hurt. He just stopped. He's been nursing a groin problem for some time now. And he just stopped about 30 feet out of the box as the ball came up on Miles. He blocked it and threw him out, but Lance was bent over by then. Yeah. The left leg. Two down now, and it's Carlos Lee. Lee 1 for 3. Rips that one foul. Carlos 1 for 2 with a walk, rather.
It'll be time to break out the sombreros.
That might be. A little light mood. The day has turned dark after the 3-0 lead going to the 7th inning. Darren Erstad on deck. Pitcher Spadu up next. And the slider gets a strike call on the swing by Chuck Merriweather. 0-2 now. And Chris Perez has been in the big leagues all of 3 weeks. It's a premium assignment here in the 8th inning. Those Caballitos would love to see Carlos turn one around. It's 1-2. Perez, the first player for the Cardinals from the June 2006 draft to make it to the big leagues. 7th player overall from that draft. In the dirt.
And it's probably the quickest path to the big leagues now. The strong-armed reliever who doesn't really have to have a polished game. If you throw real hard and have a halfway decent secondary pitch, get to the big leagues in a hurry.
Line to left. And off the top of the wall, it kicks back in. It'll be a long single for Carlos Lee. He almost got it up into the Landry's Crawford boxes. Now the pinch hitter, Erstad.
He almost had reasons to put the sombreros on. Boy, does he get a good swing at that fastball. Moving in a little bit to the middle of the plate. Just didn't quite get enough backspin on it. Hit it on a line. No chance for a double.
Lee is taken out for a pinch runner. Reggie Abercrombie making his Astros debut. Just arrived from AAA Round Rock. Abercrombie is very fast. Darren Erstad is the pinch hitter for Doug Brocail. Doug worked an inning and a third.
Tony La Russa pacing in his dugout. Got the left-hander Flores available.
.289 for Erstad. 1 homer, 12 runs batted in.
Now he's coming.
Yeah.
Boy, he was feeling he waited and waited and waited. Wasn't sure what he wanted to do.
Erstad, who's 4 for 26 as a pinch hitter, including a big 3-run pinch homer in San Francisco. Will have an important at bat coming, but it won't be against Perez. Back with more in the bottom of the 8th. 5-4 St. Louis right after this.
We're in the bottom of the 8th. The Astros trail the Cardinals 5-4 with a man on first base and 2 outs. You have to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. That's tomorrow on the King of Queens at 9 here on My 20. It's kind of a poker theme to the show tomorrow night.
Okay. Well, right here, as Tony La Russa wheels and deals with the bullpen theme, he's gone with Balone, Springer, Perez, now Flores as he's alternated left, right, and now right, left. And Flores comes in to face Darren Erstad. Erstad has had only 6 at-bats against lefties with 2 hits. Flores is 1-0 with a 3.57 ERA.
And so they get the lefty on lefty matchup. And it also makes it a little bit tougher for Reggie Abercrombie to think about stealing second base with the left-hander on the mound.
Good point. Abercrombie measures his lead. Erstad the batter. Erstad started 2 games in this series. He's 1 for 8 with a walk. Line drive, right field corner. Abercrombie's going to scoop. He goes to third. Let's see. He's getting a stop sign there on a double by Erstad. The throw went into second, but Ed Romero had already stopped Abercrombie. A pinch double for Erstad. He came out ripping. And that's his 10th double. He jumped on that first pitch from Flores.
Hit it too hard. Just about any other double with Abercrombie's speed, he's going to score, but this ball ripped into the right field corner. Mather got on it in a hurry, and he didn't throw to the relay man, he threw to second base. So if Ed Romero had sent Abercrombie, he would have scored. Cardinals catch a break there.
Now Michael Bourne, and this is the matchup. Lefty on lefty. Bourne has had problems with lefties. He bunted for a hit in the 7th inning. He's 1 for 3. He's hit 164 against southpaws. But Bourne got an RBI double off Randy Flores earlier this season here in Houston. And he looks at ball 1. Brad Ausmus on deck. Flores, a 32-year-old veteran. Fly ball to center field. Schumacher backing on it. Still back for the catch. No runs, 2 hits, 2 left. Moving to the 9th. 5-4 St. Louis. It's a 1-run lead for the Cardinals. They come up in the 9th inning. The Astros are making changes. And here at Minute Maid Park, it's been quite a turnaround. It was 3-0 Houston. Cardinals got 5 in the 7th. The Astros won in the bottom half. Darren Erstad stays in after his pinch double. He's the left fielder. Reggie Abercrombie stays in after pinch running for Carlos Lee. He's in center field. And the new pitcher is the closer, Jose Valverde. Valverde coming in to try to keep the Cardinals at bay here in the 9th inning, with Ausmus, Loretta, and Pence due up in the bottom of the 9th. Valverde's 4-1 with 16 saves.
Astros have not been doing a whole lot of winning lately, so had many games to close out. So an opportunity to work here. Off day tomorrow. Close to 0. Maybe pick up a W with the 9th inning rally.
Skip Schumacher will lead it off for St. Louis. 306 for Schumacher. 2 homers, 22 runs batted in. Schumacher's had a lot of playing time. 206 at bats this year. Valverde with the off-speed pitch falls behind 1-0. Chris Perez in 2/3 of an inning allowed 1 hit, no runs. He did give up a run. That one bounces up there, and it's 2 balls, no strikes. No, it's no runs with no walks and a strikeout. Ryan Franklin, the Cardinal closer's warming up. Schumacher takes ball 3, and it's 3 balls, no strikes. Aaron Miles on deck, and Brendan Ryan due up. Valverde worked the Friday night 6-1 Houston win, getting the final 3 outs. A 4-pitch walk put Schumacher on first. Third base on balls for Astros pitching today. Now Mark Loretta in, thinking maybe a bunt from Aaron Miles. Miles is 0 for 3, and he's talking with Jose Oquendo now. Franklin is now the closer with the injury to Isringhausen, and he has 7 saves.
Well, Miles, pretty good handler of the bat, and Schumacher runs well, so you expect bunt here, but the Cardinals could cross you up, play a little hit and run.
Runner goes, and it's tapped to shortstop. No play at second. as good as a sacrifice bunt, but Miles does not get credit for one. Schumacher to second, one out.
Yeah, you know, with a guy like Valverde, he can be hard to bunt. So, you know, just a little short stroke, try to hit the ball on the ground with the infielders moving to cover second. You find a hole instead of you know, one out and a man on second. You've got first and third perhaps, and nobody out. If you trust your hitter, and Lewis obviously trusted Miles there to make contact. They didn't get their first and third situation, but same result as the sacrifice.
Brendan Ryan with a 2-run single in the 7th, 1 for 4. That was the one that gave the Cardinals the 5-4 lead. It came on a 1-2 pitch. Cardinals just would not be eliminated from that inning when they got to 2 strikes in the count. That's made all the difference in this game. Now Abercrombie's moving several steps over toward right center on Ryan. Valverde falls behind 1-0. Joe Mathers on deck. Then Albert Pujols would bat if the inning continued. Cardinals have a record of 30-2 when they lead after 8 innings. Broken bat, Valverde crossing to Berkman. Apparently Berkman was not seriously injured when he slipped coming out of the batter's box. He stayed in the game. 2 outs. Joe Mathers 0 for 4. He reached on the 2-base error in the 7th inning by Michael Bourne. Inside for ball 1 on Mather. It's the Mets 3, the San Diego Padres 3 after 1 in San Diego. Pedro Martinez versus Wilfredo Ledesma. The Mets are trying to avoid being swept.
What's Pedro done since he came back?
I think he did okay in his first start. Let's see,
Is this number 2 here for him?
Yeah, this is number 3 actually. He's 1-0 with a 6.75 ERA, so obviously didn't do okay in one of those starts. Milwaukee leads Colorado 3-1 in the bottom of the 5th at Coors. Jeff Suppan pitching. 2 balls, 1 strike.
Barry Zito got a win.
Did he really?
Yeah.
That's been a rarity this year.
It's 2-9. Giants beat Washington 6-3. Bowker went deep for the Giants, his 6th. Last inning is Milledge at number 4 for Washington.
Padres have won 4 straight 2-1 games.
Tough to beat on Sunday.
3 balls and a strike. Especially when their fans show up dressed in all those robes. Phillies just got 3 in the top of the 9th to break a 3-3 tie with Atlanta. In the dirt. Wow, Ausmus coming up with a tough one, but it's ball 4 to Mather, and now Valverde is going to have to face Albert Pujols with 2 on and 2 outs. Pujols 0 for 2 with 2 walks. Louis Robinson's coming out. Valverde tying his shoe. Ludwig in the on-deck circle. The Astros have a chance to keep Pujols hitless in a 3-game series for only the 2nd time since this ballpark opened in 2000. There is a base open, and it's 3rd.
Yeah, but I'd be tempted to approach this confrontation with Pujols as if first base were open. You're already down a run. And not that Ludwig is a slouch or anything like that, but if Fat Albert knocks one into the seats, it's pretty much game over. Valverde has dominated Pujols, 0 for 6 with a couple of punch outs.
Pujols uncharacteristically 0 for 10 in this series. This is the second best batting average he's had in his career this late in a season. So if the Astros, who trail by 1, are to have a decent shot in the 9th inning, Valverde needs to avoid being hurt by Pujols in this at bat.
Struck him out in the 9th Friday night. A lot of split finger pitches.
Oh, that's one in the dirt. And Ausmus keeps the base runners there by blocking ball 1. Even though Pujols is 0 for 10 in this series, he's walked 4 times. 3 of those intentional. Valverde's thrown 10 balls out of 13 pitches so far in this inning. Gets that one in to even the count at 1-1.
It must be a challenge for Pujols sometimes to be ready to hit. He gets pitched around so often.
Yeah. Well, you're going to get 1 free strike there if you're Valverde. One hopper to third. Loretta with the force play to end the top of the 9th. No runs, no hits, 2 men stranded. Bottom of the 9th coming. 5-4 Cardinals. A 5-4 lead for St. Louis. Ryan Franklin will be pitcher number 6. And Tony La Russa calls in the man who has become his closer because of the injury to Jason Isringhausen. Franklin has 7 saves in 10 opportunities. He's 2-2 with a 2.54 ERA.
Yeah, since taking over in the closer's role, he's only failed 1 time. Only allowed 2 home runs this year in 28 and a third innings and a .231 batting average against.
Franklin worked last night in the Cardinals' 8-4 win. He closed it out with 1 inning, giving up 1 hit, no runs. He had a walk. Mark Loretta will be on deck. Brad Ausmus to lead it off. And then Hunter Pence due up third. That's the Astros 3 for the bottom of the 9th inning. And then if somebody got on, Matsui. And then if the inning continued, Tejada. Ausmus had an RBI double in the 7th inning. He's 1 for 3. Had a good at bat in the 2nd inning, lining out to right field. And wouldn't they love to see a stirring 9th inning comeback after the Astros led 3-0 going to the 7th, and the Cardinals got 5 in that frame. Strike for Franklin. Inside, and it's 1-1. Franklin did get a blown save in game 2 Thursday at Washington in that doubleheader, and the loss. He had closed out game 1 of that twin bill. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Brad looking for the seats with that swing.
Yeah.
He was sitting on a heater, and Franklin threw him a good slider. Slider probably his best pitch. Pretty good running fastball. Split finger pitch, curve, and a slider.
1 out. Strikeout number 6 for the Redbirds. Mark Loretta struck out in the 7th inning in his first at bat of the day. Hunter Pence on deck. Cardinals trying to make this the 4th series they've won from the Astros. strike, and if they do it, they will have lost the opener of each series and come back to win the next two.
And this game would really sting because there's just a slew of what ifs that come along with this game. Go back to that 7th inning and the way things unraveled there. Wandy being so close to getting out of the inning. The errors first by Ty Wigginton, and then the ball that dropped in between Michael Bourne and Hunter Pence. What if Reggie Abercrombie had been sent in the bottom of the 7th, or the 8th, excuse me. Ausmus with his double in the 7th was out there with nobody out. The Astros failed to get him in.
The Astros have out-hit the Cardinals 9-4. Two costly Houston errors, both coming in that 5-run 7th with all 5 runs unearned. Loretta calls time. Boston shaded Seattle 2-1. 1-2. Justin Masterson won that one to go 3-0, and Jonathan Papelbon got his 18th save. Loretta fouls it, still 1-2. Three times the Astros have won games when they trailed after the 8th inning. Franklin's given up 1 run to the Astros in his 5 appearances this year. That was on a Lance Berkman homer in St. Louis. Strike 3. And now he's 1 out away. And it's Hunter Pence. Hunter is 3 for 6 in his career against Ryan Franklin, including a homer. Matsui's on deck. Franklin had just 1 save in his career coming into this season. And he gets strike 1. Cubs and the Dodgers play tonight in Los Angeles. Marquis versus Penny. Ooh, no balls, 2 strikes.
Right on that fastball. Approach. Franklin, who has such a good slider, and that's probably his best pitch, going fastball here to Hunter.
One and 2. Cardinals 4 hits have all been singles. Two balls, 2 strikes.
Hunter Pence has 8 home runs this year. They've all come in this ballpark.
And a strikeout. Franklin extinguishes the Astros, and the Cardinals win another series. Their 4th straight from Houston. Cardinals 8-4 against Houston. They drop the Astros back to 500 at 32-32, while St. Louis climbs 11 games above 500 at 38-27. Final score, St. Louis 5 and Houston 4 today. We'll be back with more in just a moment. Houston Astros baseball on My 20 has been brought to you by Southwest Airlines, by your Texas Ford dealers, by your Houston area Lexus dealers, by 93.7 The Arrow, by GMC Truck, and by Bud Light. What a turnaround day today it was inside Minute Maid Park. The Astros cruising along with a 3-0 lead behind the brilliant work of Wandy Rodriguez. They took that 3-0 score to the 7th inning, and then it crashed and burned around them as the Cardinals scored 5 unearned runs. They got only 4 hits on the day, all singles. They were out hit by the Astros 9-4, but St. Louis won it 5-4. The positive note that Lance Berkman ripped a 3-run homer, the 3rd longest in the history of this ballpark. That was worth $14,000. That's been raised in our Game for Prostate Cancer Research today. To make a donation, you can call 800-798-CURE or go online to www.prostatecancerfoundation.org. Tough loss for these Astros fans and certainly for the players as they check into the off day with a record of 32-32. JD.
Yeah, as we talked about there towards the end of the ball game, just one of those days where there's so many what ifs, so many critical plays that went south, and bad decisions and bad plays, and unbelievable because Wandy Rodriguez was in complete control of this game, and it just felt like a win. So these tend to sting a little bit more.
And St. Louis takes it 5-4. We'll be right back. Final is St. Louis 5, Houston 4. The winner Kyle Loesch 7-2. The loser Wandy Rodriguez 2-2, and Franklin got save number 8. That's our final today from Houston. Cardinals 5, the Astros 4. Our next Astros telecast comes your way Tuesday night. The Astros open a brand new series and they take on the Milwaukee Brewers on FSN Houston. Coverage begins at 6:30 with Astros Live. FSN Houston, your home for home team sports.